In today's video, I'm going to show you all how to make a little miniature crocheted pumpkin. First, we have our supplies here. We have 20 yards of our main color of yarn. You can use green, white, all kinds of other colors also. 2 yards of my secondary color. Here I'm using brown, a yarn needle, scissors, and a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. The first thing that we are going to do is use our main yarn color. And for this, I'm going to chain only 10 stitches. So if you need to review how this process works or the process of getting the ball of yarn, you can click on this video right here and it's gonna go through the basics for you. All right, so we get our slip knot and we tighten it around our hook like so. Once again, make sure the tail is toward us. And we are going to chain 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we got them all right there. Now on the pattern, you will see that we are gonna go 21 rows with this. So before we go any further, I would just recommend that maybe on the back of the pattern or a scrap sheet of paper, we're just going to keep a tally of how many rows we have done, essentially, so that we know once we reach 21, then we can fasten off. So to begin, I'm going to do my extra turning chain, and I'm gonna skip that one and go back into here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm gonna continue working back into those other 9 stitches, just all the way across. And there we go. So what you will notice is the first row looks exactly the same as what we did for the practice. Nothing different thus far. What we are going to do from here on out is going to be a little bit different. So I'm gonna mark my first row. Then I will do my turning chain and rotate it around. And here is where it's a little bit different. So normally what we would do is go under both bars of the V, just like that. This go round, we are going to go into just the back loop here. All right, so I'll show you that again. We are not going under both bars of the V like this. Instead, you're kind of going in through the top, only through that back bar. Okay, so we yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. As you can see, everything else is the same. It's just this time we are only going through that back loop. All right, and the reason why we're gonna do that is because this is going to allow us to have the ridges on the side and really get that nice pumpkin texture. All right, so I'm at the end and then I'm gonna chain 1. Shoot, also, don't forget to mark your row, as I almost did. So we chained 1, we turn, and then we're gonna go in this one here and just rinse and repeat. So I just finished row 21, and now I'm ready to fasten off and finish this up. So when you cut the tail, you wanna leave a pretty long one, like maybe a little over a foot, because we're gonna use this to sew and cinch everything together. So we'll fasten off like before, where we take the hook out, we got this little loop, and then we take the tail and we feed it through. Whoops, and then we just pull that tight. All right. So first things first, we need to sew the 2 sides together. So we'll take it, we'll fold it over just like this. So we're lining these up. And we are going to stitch these together. So what I like to do is go underneath both bars of the V on this stitch and then go through to the other side and pull it through until it's tight. And then I turn it, go through both like that, and pull it tight again. Okay, so we repeat that process all the way across. And now that we have that seam finished, we are going to turn it inside out so that it looks a little bit more clean on the outside. All right, so the seam that we did just now, that's right here. And the next step is cinching together the top and the bottom. So we are going to use this as like the starting and the finish line. And we're going to weave the end all the way around, just back and forth around this outside. And we're going to pull on it, and this is all going to close. So I'm going to show you that. We take this, we go in one side, and then out the other. In one side, out the other. And this is, I mean, it's not like super specific exactly which hole you need to go into. As long as it's along the top ridge, that is totally fine. So we just continue in one side, out the other. All right, and now we are back where we started. So like I said, now that we have that, we're gonna take this yarn, we're gonna pull it tight. And you can see, just like magic, closes that up. And we really can tell the pumpkin is starting to form. So this is the point right here where we need to stuff it. And before we do, I'm just gonna take this other tail, the one that I'm not using to sew, and stuff it inside like that. So now we're gonna take a little bit of our fiber fill stuffing. Should have mentioned that in the supply part, but you know, oh well. We're gonna take that and put it into this pumpkin. Really up to you how squishy or how firm you want it to be. The more you add, the firmer it will be, less the squishier, of course. So now, to get the yarn to the other side, to cinch that, we are going to go here. So right now, the yarn is on the other side of this hole. I find that it helps to pull it across to the other side, and we are just going to pull it over. So through all of that stuffing. That's going to cinch that just a little bit. And then we find where the seam is. Once again, this is going to be our start and finish line. We're going to do that circuit again. All right, so we're at the end. We're going to pull that. Make sure all that stuffing gets in there. All right, now this last part is maybe the most important part of the entire finishing process. And that is going to be how essentially we shape it so it looks like it's curving in on itself, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So what I'm gonna do, I take this yarn and I'm gonna go into that little hole right here and out the other side. So again, into the hole, out the other side, and pull it through. And then I'm gonna go under. Again, it's not super specific how this like needs to, exactly where it needs to go. We're gonna go under the entire hole. Like that. And pull it tight. This is gonna help to grab that entire side. So now, we're gonna take this and pull it through the middle over to the back, and we're gonna pull really hard on that, just like that. And then we're gonna go across the hole here, into this side, and once again we're gonna go through the middle, like that. So what you'll start to see in this is the pumpkin taking shape and looking less like a squash or something like that, and more like an actual pumpkin. So you can see that friction of us going in and out is essentially shaping this the way that we need it to be. All right, so normally 3 or 4 times is going to be enough to get it fully finished. And then once we're feeling good about it, we are just going to go through to the back one last time, like that. And then we pull this really tight and cut it, and then squish it so that end disappears into the inside of the pumpkin. So we're almost done. Now the last little thing that we need to do is add the stem to the top. So if we look at it, we look at the bottom, we look at the top. Well, basically you can decide which one looks better. Normally it's the one that's pulled in a bit more that should be the top. The one that's a little flatter should be the bottom. And we're gonna put the stem right in the middle of that. So obviously first, before we can put the stem on there, we have to have a stem. So all we will do for that is taking our secondary yarn color, we're going to make our slip knot, and we are going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just like that. Then we take the hook, we pull it out. We want to make sure that we leave about a 6-inch tail or so. And we will take that and feed it back through here. Pull it tight. And then we are going to take the longer tail of the two and thread it through. And then we're going to take this and fold it over, like so, and sew it into itself. So using that long yarn, I'm going to go into the stitch, and pull it through, and then turn it over, and go all the way through the other direction. As you can see, my needle is truly not nice. So now I'm gonna bring the yarn back to the base, just like this. So you can see I've got a little brown nub, and I'm gonna place it on the pumpkin. So you can see right here, and that is my favorite part, is just the first time you put it on, it's like, oh, that's really, really cute. So we are going to just pick one of the loops here. This one's kind of sticking out, so prime candidate. And I'm gonna pull it through. And so we went into the pumpkin, then we're gonna go into the stem and pull that tight. And then into the pumpkin again. And that is probably good enough to hold it in place. So I'm gonna do the same thing that we've done before, where I just pull the yarn through. To the other side of the pumpkin, pull it real tight, and then cut it, and then squish it so that that tail disappears. There we go. And then same thing for the other tail, just like this. All right, and with that we have a tiny little pumpkin. So one extra detail that can be really fun to add and make it look super cute is eyes and a little smiley face. So for the eyes, I just have these little safety eyes. And I try to find the seam where the back is and make sure that that ends up being the back, and then this is the front, but it doesn't really matter too much. And I place them in between these ridges here. So one on this side, like that. And then I skip one of these little spaces here, and I put one in the other side. And as you can see, that is precious. Normally, make sure you don't give it to a baby. Normally you would have them be fastened on the back. That's why they call them safety eyes, because, you know, they're safe for a baby. Here, I like to maybe save it to the end because then I can make sure that I get the placement right. So just be careful with that. Then the last thing I will do is thread an embroidery needle. So here I have that. I did not knot this at the back like what we did for the embroidery unit. And that's because we don't have the back side exposed. So I'm gonna pick a little space that is in between and just a little bit lower. So maybe right here. And I'm gonna make sure that my needle is angled, like that my needle is angled up, slanting toward the eye. So I come through like this, and I would recommend pulling it about this far so you have a few inches hanging down. And I'm gonna do the back stitch. So I came out here, I'm just gonna go back one time and pull through, and not pull super tight so it doesn't pucker, like just enough right there. And then I go back again and do that one more time, just to make it a bit more substantial. Okay, so that's the first one. We can see what's going on here. Then I'm gonna go back in that same hole and come out equally on this other side, again slanting this time up. You can make a little frown too if you want, or like a little indifferent pumpkin. I don't know how your pumpkin's gonna be feeling, but mine is just happy to be here. He's happy to be alive. So we came out of there. Now we're gonna come back in the same way. So it would be one back stitch like that, and then two back stitch like this, and then I'm gonna take what's remaining and pull it through like this. And pull it nice and tight and cut it. So you can see every time we're trying to hide an end on the inside, we're always going to do it like that. All right, now the last little bit right here, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to thread my needle and get that through the same way. The only thing that I would say with this is maybe go a little over to the right. You can see there's a tiny, tiny little space that I might want to fill in with that. So I'm just gonna pull it through. Oh yeah. And cut it. And there we have it, one adorable little pumpkin. You can do the same technique to add little like pink cheeks to it if you want to, but I'm just gonna leave mine like this. Thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween.